The NBA Finals are set. A very ethical NBA Finals, if I do say so myself. Some of us, well, all three of us in this episode, we all remember this being a rematch from Ghosts of Christmas of Finals past. What was that, 97, 98 when that went down? Knicks.
99.
99. Knicks. Spurs. There's no Twin Towers. There's no Allen Houston. There's no Ewing sitting on the bench hurt. This one right here, we have been saying it coming into this. It's so funny because see what happens, Knicks fans, when you conduct yourselves with just a shred of dignity, just a minuscule droplet of dignity. Look what happens for your team. Y'all wasn't out here throwing fucking ticket parades and shutting down the Hall of Champions for a fucking first round to win the play-in. You guys fucking viewed this quietly like dignified NBA fans who expected something of their team, and look where you are. The finals with a chance to win, in my opinion. I don't know if I don't know if I'd pick you, but I'd say you got a chance. I'm gonna let my two guys who are steeped in the game are real life, real deal. Check them out. Shock Sports NBA Scout Apollo, along with True. Gonna break this down. Of course, we've seen the highlights. We've seen the magic over there on the Spurs. The Wemby, the Harper, the young players, the Champagne, all these guys who are just tearing it up. The future of the league developing right in front of us. They are obviously the sexy team of the moment. But I've heard something said about the Knicks that I kind of agree with, and I've kind of enjoyed watching. The Knicks remind me, and some people have watched, of those great college teams. You don't got anyone, well, I'd say Jalen Brunson's probably an A-. You don't got any A's, A+, but you got a front-to-back roster, probably 8 deep of B+ and an A- here and there. A great overall team who plays great team ball, who plays great team defense. Yeah. I'm not counting them out whatsoever, but obviously the Spurs are the magical team of the moment. Tons of star power, and I think a lot of people will be willing for the Spurs to do it because we want to see this Wembanyama ascendancy begin now. He has some chance. We'll probably chat about that in the coming weeks. What is the ceiling? How far can this guy go? What is he on track to do in this league? Because he completely took over multiple games against a team that was, easily considered the best team in the NBA. Wembanyama powered this Spurs team to at least a couple of victories, primarily on his individual performance during that last series, which was a classic series, by the way. Thunder got nothing to feel bad about. So, what are our picks? What are the keys? True, looks like you got something to say.
Well, first of all, let me just say, it's been a couple weeks since we did an NBA show. And in that time, the Knicks made the finals. But guess what? Do you know how they made the NBA finals? They swept James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and them shitty-ass Cleveland Cavaliers. And I cannot continue without mentioning that. They swept them shitty-ass Cavs. They swept James Harden. Get that bum out of here. Now, the Knicks, I'm actually going to pick the Knicks in 6. This is my prediction, personally. I think there's a few things here. The Spurs, I don't want to say they got lucky in this at all. I don't want to say they got lucky in this. But the Thunder struggles so much against a team like this, from their size, from their grit, everything. I've heard a lot of people complain about OKC, talking about foul baiting and stuff like that. Look, Lou Dort, does some rough fouling, some dirty plays, and there's some accuracy in that. But I watch the Spurs get away with just as much and get away with a hell of a lot. It's basketball. It's playoff basketball. Like, people, we can't watch it under this microscope of like, oh, look at that contact. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at it. Like, that's not how I want to watch the game. At the end of the day, these are two teams, the top two teams in the West. And we saw that the Spurs kind of had OKC's number in the regular season. And OKC had an opportunity to close it out with 2 games, and they just couldn't get it done. SGA had a horrible game 6. Not having Jalen Williams, having J Dub, AJ Mitchell, not having these guys prove pivotal down the stretch because those are guys you could lean on here and there. But we don't know how effective they would have been if they were healthy. Jalen Williams, even though J Dub tried to suit up for a couple games, he wasn't healthy. He just hasn't been healthy like that. And the Thunder, that's kind of the wear and tear that comes with having won, almost 60 games every season for the last 3 seasons. It's just a wear and tear. SGA did not have his legs. He was getting ran through the ringer against the Spurs. And I think that's kind of what you do to neutralize a team like the Thunder. Chet Holmgren, Chet, man, no words could be said about Chet's performance. It was one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen someone who was an all-star or all-NBA have in a playoff series. He did not look like a factor at all. I know Wemby kind of got his number and kind of bitching him a little bit, but I feel like Chet could have at least showed up. And we've seen in the past, Chet might have gotten outdueled by Wemby, but he would still show up at least. He might have a 20-10 game and Wemby have like 28-12, but it's like at least you showed up. To go out and put like 4 points up and not take any shots in the second half, that was one of the weakest moments I've ever seen from any NBA player. And that ultimately was the difference. If Chet shows up just a little bit, they could win the game. If Chet gets you 10, 15 points and does what he can do, you win that game. So SGA obviously lost in game 6. He had some rough games the rest of the way too. But great series for both teams. Obviously not the most competitive in terms of the games. I don't like 7-game series where there's a bunch of blowouts, and there was like several blowouts in the series. But that game 7 was everything you wanted. Going into the fourth quarter, the Thunder looked like they had an opportunity to close the gap, maybe make some stuff happen. Obviously, they did not get it done. SGA deserves a lot of credit though in that second quarter of Game 7 because he was raining buckets. He was trying to will them back into the fight. They took the lead for a while, and then it just completely fell off the rails. Some of the decision making from OKC down the stretch, they will come back, they will retool, but I've been saying for a couple of years now, like OKC looks great because of the system that they're running and because of the fact of SGA. I think SGA is really the reason why. That's why he's MVP. That's why he's been an MVP is because Chet has moments like that. We've seen Chet do this multiple times. I mean, if you're ever bet on Chet to have 15 points, there's hella games where he would get like 10 or 9 points or 8 points and shit. So there's just a lot of that. And you just see that with a lot of guys, especially today in today's NBA, where it's like these guys average 19, 20 points, and they can go nights, several nights in a row, just having like 6 points, 5 points, just have off nights or just not being aggressive enough. And for OKC to get back to where they were, which they very well could, but that wear and tear is a thing, man. That's why dynasties don't exist like that anymore because the wear and tear on the bodies of the players these days is much different. And that's my concern with the Spurs. As well down the stretch, they got a lot of young guys, but once again, when we get to a certain point, now defenses are going to plan and key in on you, and there's going to be just guys putting their body and something can happen to Castle, something can happen to Fox. They're going to have to make a decision between Harper, Fox, and they got a lot of guards there that they can rotate, but what's going to happen? We don't know that. So going into this finals, it's going to come down to coaching, and I've seen Mike Brown. Mike Brown he's always been a good coach, but we've seen some of his deficiencies. We've seen some of his issues over the years. We saw it when he was coaching, Cleveland, LA, and we saw him be an assistant coach in Golden State and have a lot of success, obviously with a great roster, and he has a good roster. And the Eastern Conference is a different animal, though. Like the Eastern Conference doesn't necessarily have the type of juggernauts that I think the Western Conference has. So maybe they'll benefit from the Spurs going 5 games with the with the Blazers, and then going 6 games with the Wolves, and going 7 games with the Thunder. Maybe fatigue will start to set in a little bit, and I think that might be the deciding factor because the Knicks have kind of smoked everybody except the Hawks. They just really smoked everybody except the Hawks. So I don't expect the Knicks to take this lightly. So with that being said, I'll pick the Knicks in 6. Also, I think the Knicks won the NBA Cup against them. The Spurs team that they faced, though, back in December is not the same team. They're a much better team, much tougher team, grittier team. But and I don't want to bet against Wemby. I just think the Knicks are going to have the health factor and have the kind of like the freshness factor. And that does play a role. That does play a big role when you're going into like a series like this. And if I could liken it to anything, I would even say if you look back in like 2016s and the 2025, even if you want to go to like last year with the Pacers and that wear and tear kind of boggled down Tyrese Halliburton, which led to the unfortunate injury. So there's a lot of things that can happen, and I just hope, like I said, we talking about overtime games for the Spurs. Overtime games that they won, overtime games that they playing 40 minutes out there, 40, 42, 43, 44. And this is against a team that punched their ticket to the finals just like days ago, like days and days ago. So the comfortableness of which the Knicks have had, I feel like the Knicks are going to win because they're the fresher team. I'm interested to see what defensive, sets they run against Jalen Brunson, but yeah, I'm gonna go Knicks in 6. Like I said, it could go either way. I can see Spurs in 6, Spurs in 5, just depending on how dominant Wemby is. But Wemby wants it. That's a scary thing for somebody like him to want to win as bad as he wants to win. That's a scary sight. I just don't think the Knicks are scared of that. But what is Cat gonna do? What is Karl Anthony Towns gonna do? And that's another thing. But we've seen also Wemby is 2-1 this season against the Knicks, including the NBA Cup. And so we'll see how it goes. But I just feel like the Knicks, they seem like a well-oiled machine. They're making all the history. They're kind of knocking off these history, putting themselves in history right now. And I mean, it just feels like a year for a New York champion. It's a horrible year so far, so it feels like a year for a New York championship.
You brought up one thing though, man. That boy, if there was one matchup that could really go south real fast, it's Karl Anthony Towns against Wembanyama, right? Oh boy, that could get real ugly real quick, but maybe it won't. Hey man, Cat is performing like he's maybe a changed man this year. So we shall see. He needs to. He better be this. But that's a cool opportunity, right? You have the opportunity straight up in front of you to silence everything, right? Like people, this position that you've been in before, 7 feet of disappointment, all that. Hey, you're going against the hottest young player in the NBA right now. People that are saying he's on a trajectory to be in rarefied air, top 3 all time, maybe even higher. But you're going against him in his first chance for a championship. What are you going to do against all the naysayers that look at you in a certain type of way? Apollo, man, talk to me about keys to this series and who do you got?
Well, before we get there, I got to touch on the conference finals of both conferences real quick. For the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks made quick work of the Cavs after they came back from that it was like a 23 point deficit in game 1. I think it was a classic case of a team that was just happy to be there. And specifically, I aim that towards Donovan Mitchell, because before this year, he has never made a conference finals. So when he did make it, he acted as if he didn't know what to do. And I do have criticism of Donovan Mitchell in this regard. He's consistent. I mean, like he's a bucket getter, but at the same time, he doesn't necessarily play winning basketball. The evidence the evidence speaks for itself. James Harden, how many times do we have to keep regurgitating the same thing and keep seeing the same thing? He shows us what he is. He is a choke artist. And, he game sevens. I mean, he just didn't show up, and I mean that was the game before, the series before, but this whole series he just wasn't. I mean, he just wasn't. I don't know. James Harden is fool's gold at this point in his career. So, then Kenny Atkinson, the coach, I think he didn't do himself any favors. I think he kind of shown why KD and Kyrie Irving wanted to get rid of him when they first got to Brooklyn years ago. Because saying the things about, oh, analytically we won, or like you can't do that, and you can't. The things he was saying about James Harden, like like he trusts him. I understand that from a team's perspective. Yes, you have to have trust in one of your top guys, no matter what. But you can't convince the players that. Come on, man. You know what I mean. You gotta you can't fool them, and I think that was going on too. The Knicks, man, they've been on a run, man. Like offensively, they just been. I forgot the numbers, but like I think they outscored opponents by over 100 points or something, like plus 120 or something like that. But anyway, it's a crazy number. And a lot has been said about Mike Brown being the coach and replacing Tibbs and things like that. But so far, so good. Looks like the right move. I mean, he's utilizing the depth more. But I will say, with that rest comes rust. I mean, we've seen it in game one and the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think if I heard this correctly, I believe the Knicks have played like 4 games in about 20 days or so. Like that's a lot of rest. I mean, it's good for players like OG Anunoby because he had his hamstring injury, so let's just give him more time to be healthy. What's unfortunate is the Mitchell Robinson pinky injury that didn't happen on the court. So I mean, we'll see how that goes. I mean, luckily he's not a shooter, so that doesn't really affect that. But it might affect him getting some rebounds. If you get dinged on that pinky, you know what I'm saying? I mean, could he do it? I don't know. I mean, could it affect him controlling the ball? We'll see. If not, that means that guys the likes of Ariel Huckporty will have to step up. In a finals game against the red hot Spurs, I don't know about that. As far as the Spurs, let me break down the game 7 of the Western Conference Finals real quick. For all of his accolades and for all of his praises, Victor Wembanyama, he didn't play that well this series. If you look at it from a standpoint of his efficiency, he shot under 50% in field goal percentage this series. Now he did average over 27 points. I mean, that's good. That's what you want from your superstar. But the one of the biggest holes in Wembanyama's game to me is his lack of getting double-digit rebounds. There is no way on God's green earth that somebody with his size, his skill, and his ability does not come down with 10 plus rebounds every game. That's what the Spurs need in order to be in every game. And to be honest, that's like icing on the cake because he covers so much space anyway, and he does so many things well that it just adds to it. So that just gives you another damn near 10, 20 point swing, and so with all that being said, I would like to see him step that up and be a more aggressive on the boards and be a little more efficient when he's shooting because he's taking a lot of perimeter shots. I mean, he shot about 40% from 3 this series, which is statistically good, but I mean, a couple of these games, I think one of them games he shot 0 for like 8 or something like that. So, it's something that you want him to clean up. Sometimes he gets a little indecisive when he has the ball in his hands, when he wants to, be a point center. I mean, he can do it, but he has to reel himself in. Also, I believe that game 7, the supporting cast from the Spurs, a lot of those guys stepped up, man. Dylan Harper stepped up. He had 12, 7, and 3. Keldon Johnson stepped up, had 11 points, 3 rebounds. He went 4 8. Julian Champagny. Yeah, I said Champagny. 20 points, 6 rebounds. He made 6 of 10 from 3. Now, he was killing, but a lot of that was the game plan from Oklahoma City. If you can live with anybody beating you, it can be Julian Champagny. So the thing is, he just made those wide open shots, and that's what you want to do when they leave you open as a competitor. So, no harm, no foul in that regard. Stephon Castle, as True knows, I am a huge Stephon Castle fan. I think that he can be a top 10 American-born player in the next 2 to 3 years. However, I kind of reel back that a little bit when I think about these kids that's coming in and draft these next couple of years, this year included. So I had to kind of retract that statement a little bit. But nonetheless, he's an important contributor to this team. He had what? He had over like 40, damn near 50 assists this series. He was making smart decisions with the ball. However, he did average 32 turnovers. It was one game where he had a triple double, including the turnovers. That was like 11 turnovers that game. So he has to reel that in. He can't be so aggressive. I mean, he plays with his emotions. I love him, but he's going to have to reel that in and play more controlled. So I'll say this real quick on Oklahoma City. They were the defending champions. They had a great year. SGA was MVP. I mean, he gave it his all in this game. I mean, with literally no help. I mean, he really, the only help he had was Cason Wallace, who had a pretty big game, and kind of the McCain kid, Jerry McCain. He had an okay game, but everything else, I mean, he wasn't getting a lot from his supporting cast. Chet Holmgren unraveled. I mean, he basically unraveled this series. He only averaged like 10 points this series. When Wembanyama is in his head, I mean, he was affected the whole game, it seemed. I mean, he really let them down. If you're an all-star, there's no excuse. I mean, damn, he's been in the finals. He's been in Game 7s last year, and he's played great. He made the All-NBA. There's no excuse. They did miss J-Dub, and they did miss A.J. Mitchell for sure. I believe if they played, that OKC probably would have won that game, albeit barely, but they probably would have won that game because there would have been more depth and more playmakers to help out SGA when he really needed it. So now fast forward to the finals. This is the rematch of the NBA Cup. I think the Spurs might win this in 6 games. I say that because I feel like they're red hot. They can go 9 men deep in the series. New York, they can go maybe about 6 deep, maybe 7 if Mitchell Robinson plays. So that right there, I don't think the Knicks can match San Antonio's depth because these young guys, I mean, they're getting playoff experience. They're hungry. And right now I think they're playing for Coach Popovich as well. So they have a lot riding on them and a lot going their way. So I think the Knicks are a great team. It's going to be a good series, I believe. I think this is a good matchup between both of the teams. Cat's going to have to play really good. He's going to have to be aggressive. I mean, he's going to have to do the best job he can on Wembanyama, but Mitchell Robinson is very key because he can wear Wembanyama down. Now the thing is, Wembanyama can't hit perimeter shots, and he is going to try to do that. But the thing is, the Knicks are going to try to get the ball out of his hands and make somebody else like Julian Champagny beat them again. And for the Knicks, I think they're going to have to turn Stephon Castle into a jump shooter, and try their best to wear down Wembanyama if they can and keep him off the block. That would be their best keys to success. I think the Spurs are going to let Josh Hart try and beat them and that could help or hurt them because you see what Caruso did in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals and how he returned back to a dud in Game 7. I think he went for like 3 for 14, so he was very inefficient. He tried to draw fouls and everything. He tried to get in their head, but you need top players, man, and that I think the Spurs are striking right at the right time.
I'm gonna say this real quick, just to kind of, to your point. I feel like series is gonna come down to, I think, OG and Bridges, because when you look at the wings that San Antonio has, they don't have any wings, in my opinion, to rival that. Obviously, you got Castle you can put out there. You can put Harper out there if you want. You can run a 3-guard lineup really with Harper, Fox, and Castle if you want. I don't look at anybody else on the Spurs and think, OG, if OG's healthy, I think he's the difference maker in this. I think he's gonna be the difference maker. I really feel like, because he can get you 15 or 20. He can get you 15 or 20, and that's the difference. That is something I think that is missing. That was missing from the OKC series, was another guy who could consistently get you 15, another guy who could consistently get you 20. And the Knicks have multiple guys who could do that if they step up to the plate. OKC don't have that. Case and Wallace is not going to get you 20 every night. Cat supposed to get you 20 every night. OG is supposed to get you 12 to 15 a night. Bridges, for that damn contract, is supposed to get you 15 a night. Just they don't always show up. Now, if what we've seen from them can they replicate some of the stuff we've seen from them this playoffs, then that's why I'm picking the Knicks. I'm picking the Knicks just because I feel like they got, you said what, they got like 7 guys, right? So
6 mainly, but
6 mainly, but it's like
you can put 7.
You don't believe in Jose Alvarado and
nah.
I mean, like Deuce McBride. you don't believe in these guys.
I do, but like not like they're not as good. So I'll put it like this. Jordan Clarkson is hit or miss. Like Deuce McBride, okay, he's good enough, but he ain't as big as Dylan Harper. He ain't as big as, you know what I mean, Carter Bryant, or athletic. Like the Knicks don't. I'll say this: Keldon Johnson. I mean, who does the Knicks have that can stop him, really? I mean, because they have so many guys that they can throw at them, and I don't think that offensively the Knicks can consistently sustain it. The Spurs, they're still young. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they still have to prove it, but like, I guess they've been a little more consistent on that front. And but I do agree with you.
I didn't think, I was just gonna say, like, I think the reason why the Spurs look consistent, because we, like, especially in the playoffs, because we've seen them more. Like, we just seen more of them. So it's like these guys got more experience. That, like, at least in this playoff. But if Jordan Clarkson could get hot for one game, that's probably all you need. If Deuce McBride can hit a couple threes, that's all you need him to do. Like, that's all you need from those guys. And that's really the only reason they're gonna be on the floor. And I think that's what makes the Knicks dangerous. And people don't, we haven't kind of thought about it, is like, they don't have guys that you consistently rely on. So how many minutes are they going to play anyway? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many minutes are they going to play? You're going to give Bridges like 43, 44. Josh Hart going to get 42, 41. Cass will get 40, 41. Brunson going to be out there 40, 42. So you just need a good 6 to 10 minutes from your role players to just kind of just to give your guys a rest. I believe the Knicks can do that offensively, at least, if you just need them to hit shots. My concern is, as primary ball handlers, obviously the Spurs have way more primary ball handlers on their team, which could be the difference maker, which I think that was the difference maker to me in the OKC series. If SGA had anybody else who could make a play, they could have won that game. They could have won that. I think they would have won. They should have won game 1. Personally, of the West, they should have won game 1. They just couldn't close it out. When J-Dub took that terrible shot and Wemby hit that 3 from the spot in OKC, I was like, J-Dub takes a better shot, that 3 don't matter, because then you're playing a free throw game. It's just, that's how much of a difference those little plays make. And so I see that Knicks do have some people that they could go to, or at least some more shooters. You know what I mean? Like we saw guys like Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wallace not even get any tick at all in the Western Conference Finals, and they were pivotal guys throughout different periods of time. I mean, Aaron Wiggins was his name. I think it was Aaron Wiggins. Yeah. And like they were pivotal through the regular season. They were pivotal at times when guys went down. They couldn't rely on their depth. The Knicks don't necessarily have to rely on their depth because it's the finals. Like I think they got the best starting five in the playoffs. To me, personally, I think they had the best starting five. In terms of what everybody does and stuff like that. But if we go to OT and you playing your guys 45, 50 minutes, then that's gonna make a difference. Like I said, I'm still going Knicks in the six, but I don't disagree with you in terms of Spurs winning the six. I think this is probably, to me, this is the most exciting one because these are two teams that I actually don't mind watching them play, and I actually think this is evenly matched up. So, I don't
Like
know.
real quick, yeah, like real quick, like I expect Brunson to get his during the series because the Spurs they do give up points to point guards, like especially this postseason. So he gonna get his. I believe Wembanyama should be getting his points wise. He makes me nervous as far as rebounds. I will give you that. I think that Carl Anthony Towns is going to make and should be emphasized to be more aggressive on the boards. Extra possessions is another way of how you win. And these games, especially these finals games, come down to possessions. So like, that can prove and that you gotta be nervous with the Knicks in that regard. If Mitchell Robinson was not hurt, like if this pinky wasn't a problem, I would feel a little more confident with the Knicks. But I just don't know if we can trust Pecom Dadier to get because I mean Carl Anthony Towns is going to have to be spelled. He's going to have to be spelled on the bench. So I mean you could put Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby as your 4 and 5, but that's small ball. You don't want to do that against these boys. I mean, and and I'm not saying that the Knicks got small guys. I mean they got some big guys of their own, but I mean I'll put it like this: if they can rely on Landry Shamet to be as good as he was as last series, I mean I mean then they gotta punch his chance because that's the whole key: scoring and being able to stop a potential onslaught from either team. Like either team can go on an onslaught. We just seen what the Knicks was doing, damn near all playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if that's going to continue so much because they're not really known as that, as good as they are. And I do agree with you. They do have the best starting five, and they do have a better starting five than the Spurs do. But that's where I know, like, that's where you can look at that depth as maybe an advantage on their end because, we'll see. We'll see. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what they don't know. And sometimes that's an advantage for a young team. And then, but Mike Brown got him in good position, man. So I mean, we'll definitely see.
We may end up seeing the end of, man, that's going to be a party. It's going to be intense over the next few weeks. We either side, but especially, man, the Knicks fans' long suffering finally ended. We're going to see one thing or the other. We're going to see the Knicks fans' long suffering finally ended, or we're going to see the beginning of the ascendancy for arguably a guy who will be in contention perhaps someday to be one of the greatest players of all time. We're seeing one of those things over the next few weeks, and I cannot wait. I hope our NBA Finals preview has got you informed and ready to go for Wednesday night. This is DAR Sports Media, and the world of DAR never stops.